and welcome to a new episode of Voices in Leadership, the Leading Age Virginia podcast. My name is Melissa Andrews, President and CEO of Leading Age Virginia, and I am just delighted to host this episode. And I think this is the first time I've had not one, not two, but three guests on. So I am super excited. I mean, the Zoom screen is just getting, more and more full. So Damien and Donna and Candace, welcome to the podcast, zooming in from the Chesapeake. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Let's see. I think since Damien is the rose among thorns, no, the thorn among roses, right? That's the way it is. If you'll just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, Damien.
Sure. Thanks, Melissa. So my name is Damien Pluchek. I'm the Assisted Living Administrator here at the Chesapeake Retirement. I've been with the Chesapeake for about four and a half years, going on 5. And this is my first retirement community. So this was new to me. I was in senior medical. I was a director of operations for 5 medical groups before that. And then I was with the hotels for about 25 years before that. So it's interesting putting those two things together for the retirement community. And what a community to come to. First of all, I don't think I can leave here and go somewhere else. It's kind of one of those things, but I'm having a great time here. I've got great team members like Candace and Donna that, just make working here a joy.
Well, we'll circle back to learn more about the Chesapeake and you, Damien, in a second. But Donna, why don't you tell our listeners about you?
Hi, I'm Donna Yatsko. I'm Director of Social Services here at the Chesapeake. I've been here for 5 years. I am a New Jersey transplant. I have a master's in social work. Now, my entire career has only been in senior services and not-for-profit communities. So moved down here from New Jersey 5 years ago, got a job here at the Chesapeake and been here ever since. And it's just been wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you. Candace, how about you?
Yeah, so my name is Candace Montgomery. I'm the Director of Life Enrichment here at the Chesapeake. I kind of have a unique story. I've been at the Chesapeake since 2015, started out as an intern in the therapy department. I've been the NIST Fitness Director here, so I've kind of moved up in different positions. So likewise to what Damien said, the Chesapeake just kind of captures your heart, and it just always kind of brings you back in one way or another, whether it's the team or the residents. I have my undergraduate degree from ODU in exercise science, and then I have my master's in healthcare administration from St. Diego University.
So the Chesapeake, one of the communities of LifeSpire of Virginia, so one of our multi-site aging services providers in Leading Age Virginia membership. I have been to the Chesapeake. It's been a while. And first of all, it's a beautiful community. It's a vibrant community. I better say you have great food, because if anyone listens to this, I want to make sure I talk about the amazing hospitality you have there. I also want to reference, you've got one of the best boutiques. I'm not even going to call it a gift shop. At least when I last was there, Dana Parsons on my team and I did some fabulous shopping. And I will share with you when we start talking about the Academy, one of the things I bought there, because you all will understand it. But tell our listeners more about the Chesapeake. How long has the Chesapeake been serving older adults in your area? And just anything you want to share about the culture, the residents, the team. Candace, let's start with you because you've been there the longest.
Sure. Well, this year we're actually celebrating our 55th anniversary. So a big year for us for sure. And it's very unique looking back in some of the original history of the community. Of course, it's faith-based. So seeing some of the early foundings of just some of the things that they did back then. There was house mothers and there were toasters on the table. There was a very communal aspect. So it's hard to imagine that today, having such a luxury a community with all these amenities and the hospitality. So it's interesting to see how far we've come and some great strides that we've made. But I will say the community aspect is still alive and well. Things that I've read from back in the 60s till today, it's that same sense of community. Each resident is looking out for each other. It's a very neighborly community, very warm. Lots of people, when they come here for the first time, they feel that warmth. They feel that kindness that we like to say is our signature.
Donna, how different is it from New Jersey? Or is it?
The southern charm is definitely different. The thing about the Chesapeake is not only the residents, but the staff. When you walk through the hall, the hospitality, the kindness, you just feel the warmth here. And that's what really draws you in. From the minute you walk through the building, the smiles, the hellos, they ask you how you're doing, and it's genuine, and you feel that. And that's what the home environment is, really what you feel here. In the North, when people are asking you how you doing, you kind of question it, but here it's a little different. My kids are first like, why does everybody care, Mom? Why do they all ask you, how you're doing? But they genuinely care, but you really do feel that warmth and kindness here, not only from the residents, from the staff. It is truly a family environment.
And Damien, why you mentioned at the beginning during your intro that you don't envision you would ever leave. So why do you stay?
I stay because of the residents. I stay because of the team member. I stay because of the experiences. Going from having to worry about, and we worry about financials and things like that, but this is a place, the Chesapeake is actually a place that I can use my hospitality skills, use my leadership skills that Leading Age has helped develop, and just be able to honestly and David always tells us, I want to change things. If you come up with an idea, run with it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but let's be creative about it. And being this my first retirement community, it's really, going through pandemic, coming here 2 weeks and all of a sudden pandemic. It was like, wow. And then finally coming out of it and seeing what the Chesapeake really truly was before 2020. It's just amazing. I mean, I love going to Leading Age. I love going to conferences and hearing about other places, but I always value when I get back home and go, this is the place.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think it's so fun going to visit, our members in Virginia, and then I get the privilege of visiting members across the country. And it really is true. You've seen one continuing care retirement community. You've seen one continuing care retirement community. They're all so different and so unique. I mean, certain aspects obviously are similar, but it is really fun to just see the differences and then to learn from them. And each of you having either gone through the academy, or Donna, you're currently in the National Academy?
I am. Yep. Just got back from Minneapolis.
Oh, okay. So when I was in the National Academy, we went to Minneapolis. So let's just frame for our listeners what the Leadership Academy is. So let's start with, because it came first, the Leading Age National Larry Minix Leadership Academy was birthed in 2007, was the first class. I had the privilege of being in Larry's office when the academy launched. So, and we brought in Dr. Judy Brown and Michelle Halloran at the time were the co-facilitators. And from there came, state academies. And when I started this position in 2016 and Leading Age Maryland and Leading Age DC said, hey, Melissa, would you join us with an academy? I said, sure, under one condition. And that is that we hired Deanne Akins, who was class of 2010, National Leadership Academy, to be our facilitator. And thankfully we've had our academy since 2017 in Virginia. I'll ask each of you, when you have to describe the academy to somebody who you think should apply, what do you say about your experience? Damien, I'll start with you because you were first in this trio, right? How did somebody describe it to you, I wonder?
Well, the funny thing is I was here. I met Deanne the first time when she came to the front door. Of course, it was locked. It was like 7:30 or 7 o'clock. And then I just opened it and carried her stuff in. Didn't know who she was and didn't know really what they were doing.
Well, you're in the habit of just letting strangers in the door and carrying their stuff in? Is that
let's
you're not over
pass,
security, clearly.
Just come on in. Come
Yeah,
on in.
you're so hospitable.
We're so welcoming.
Never met a stranger.
But I remember coming in and I remember them having one of their sessions in our Chesapeake room. I remember seeing Bethany Starkey, one of our administrators from Culpeper, and I asked her about it right after. I was like, "What was this?" I knew we were introducing ourselves, but what was it? And she told me all about it, and I was like, "I've got to do this." I mean, I retired from the military 31 years, retired as an officer and deployed as a commander. But really having those type of leadership things and really getting involved with the Leadership Academy and finding out what it was, and and then going through it, starting in 2022 and graduating in 2023. It's getting people from diverse backgrounds. And then we get to share some of the frustrations we have, the opportunities we have, but also the joys we have, and it really getting together and different people from different backgrounds, engineering, maintenance, and then administrators and everything. It's just an amazing thing, and it pushed me to look outside the box once I graduated. I know we had our conversation at in Norfolk and talking about helping with the leadership development series, and and joining the Workforce Advisory Council. I wouldn't have thought about those things prior to the academy. So it's one of those things where if anyone would this be something I should do? Absolutely. Sign yourself up, put your heart into the letter that you write to get into, and don't let anything, fall short when you're in it. Put all of it into it. I know Candace was asking me about it when she started going through it, which was pretty interesting. And I had to keep tight with a couple of things. I was like, no, you'll go through it and we'll talk about it later. But it was a great experience.
Candace, what convinced you? What was it about the academy that intrigued you enough to apply? And then what really stuck with you? What kind of lessons did you learn, or what did you learn about your leadership style? Just anything that stood out.
I think it was really that initial conversation with Damien, and he, like you said, he was holding on to most of the information, but the tightness that came from his group, not just his group, but the whole academy. I mean, these are folks that you don't know from anywhere typically, and you become so close so fast. I would add to Damien's part that it's like you cry at all the time in the best way possible. At least that was the case for me. You just don't realize how deep you're going to dig. And each time that you meet, even those monthly check-in calls with your group, there's the strength in numbers aspect was huge for me. Finding my voice, to the confidence, to, courage is kind, Brene Brown talks about that, but just stepping outside, even though you might be the only person that's talking, but knowing it's the right thing that needs to be said in that moment. The Leadership Academy really helped me with that. And then just those bonds that you form, it's amazing. Like Damien said, you can be in the academy with folks who have so many different jobs within senior living, but yet we all are facing the same things. So it's that perspective taking that's really huge. It brings you together in just the best way possible.
Donna, I have to ask, where did you visit in Minneapolis?
Marvell, we went to some Presbyterian home communities, which is wonderful because I started my career with Presbyterian Homes and Services in New Jersey.
Okay.
So that was a little bit of connection there. And then I can't think of the other community we visited, but they were beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
And why did you apply to the National Academy, and what has really stood out to you, either about yourself or just leadership in general since you've been in?
Well, Damien made me jealous watching him through his journey, listening to him. And when he would come back so excited and talking about it. And I thought, this is really something I want to look into on the state level. I did not have these opportunities up in New Jersey with my previous community. And one of the things here at the Chesapeake and with LifeSpire is that they want us to grow. They want us to grow as leaders, and they give us so many opportunities to do that. So when Damien was finishing up his program, I had gone to David Loop and said, I'm interested. And he says, oh no, you're going to apply to national. And I said, oh, okay. And I'll tell you, I was scared. I was nervous because I was thinking, is that beyond my scope? And I was doing that application. It really got me excited. And then to get the notice that I was accepted really got me excited. But I was not expecting, you know, you think about leadership, you think of you're going to sit there, they're going to tell you how to become a better leader. But there's so much personal growth. There's so much looking within what I have to look at as in myself. To become a better leader. And that's been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
And then one of the things I've loved is, you know, in the beginning, you're just with other leaders in the industry. You don't talk about titles. You don't talk about, you know, where you are, you know, in your role.
That's right.
And being able to connect on that level, and then to find out you're sitting with COOs and other leaders, but you all connect on a real ground level. And being able to have that connection has just been wonderful. And then being able to share, you know, across the country, we have the same struggles in the industry. And now having that network to be able to call when we're having a struggle and having those resources has just been wonderful.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, the two things that really stood out for me, granted, I started 15 years ago in the academy. How is that even possible? That seems bananas. But one was the fact that we had no technology in the room. And I remember one of the fellows, I remember her, and I'm not going to name her, but if she was sitting here, she would tell you this story because it's one of all of our favorite stories from our class. Her just physically, and she was in operations, so it just to not have her phone out was really like, and she would sneak it. She thought nobody could see her, as if anybody was going to call her out. Like, it's all about personal accountability, right? If you're going to be on your phone, you're going to miss what's happening in the moment. Like, you learn that very quickly. It's all about being present.
Yeah.
And by the end of the year, she didn't even take it out of her bag. I mean, it was like she was able to let that go. And that transformation was very cool to see. Now, granted, 15 years ago, we were not as dependent on our phones as we are now. So I don't know if you're having that same experience in your academies. I hope you are able to let that go. But I will tell you that I used to get dinged on my evaluation every year. And I was at Leading Age National at the time because I went too fast. And I remember one time saying to my supervisor, maybe everybody else just goes too slow. I hope you're having conversations with them about. And so when we read, and Donna, I don't know if you all still read Heifetz, Leadership Without Easy Answers. Not everybody's a big fan. I liked it. But learning about pacing and about being up on the balcony versus down on the dance floor and that change in perspective, that was really eye-opening for me. And coming into this role, leaving National and coming to this role as a new CEO 8 years ago, wow, was I eyes wide open that, you know, you can come into a new role and you can see all the stuff that you want to change. But boy, if you've got to bring a team along, you better step back and listen and slow your roll. And I would never have thought of going for a CEO role had I not been in the academy, but I definitely would not have been as successful, I don't believe, had I not had the academy experience, because it really helped me, as you said, be very introspective about the type of leader I wanted to be, and how to, you know, how to change management, right? Change management. Circling back to your boutique for just a second. So for those of us who have been part of the academy, the Peacock is an important aspect. So you all have these, I should have worn them today. Why didn't I? It would have been a great homage. I've got these fabulous Peacock earrings. I was at the Chesapeake.
Our boutique manager, Brenda, I cannot wait to tell her how much she has been working. It's just going to make her whole day.
I mean, if I told you how much Dana and I spent, however, I won't. But it was contributing to a good cause.
Yeah.
So, Candace, starting with you, and then I'm gonna, actually, Donna, starting with you, before I move over to Candace, Action Learning Project, part of the academy, and I know they're doing it different now. I will tell you, back in the day, we did not have to do a presentation. They asked us 3 questions. We just had to type it up and they put it in a magazine.
Oh,
No, I know. So do you want to even give a sneak peek, Donna?
Sure, we're
This
getting off
won't, this
easy.
won't
I know.
drop till next month, I don't think, this episode, or it might be this month in September, but you don't have to like give a spoiler if you don't want.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I'll be rolling out mine in Nashville. Very excited. And I got off easy compared to Damien and Candace because we do a video with a 2-minute voiceover. So I don't have to stand up, but I'm very excited about that. But mine is, being a social worker and in this field for over 20 years and seeing the impact that all departments have on the care of the residents. So my action learning plan is really acknowledging the value that all departments bring to the care of the residents. So it's not just the clinical team that we need to hear from. We need to hear from the housekeepers, the maintenance men, the dietitians, the drivers, those people that are spending the time with our residents on a daily basis that can bring so much value to the conversation when we're caring for our residents and really giving us a well-rounded input on ways that we can better care for them. Oftentimes they're scared to tell the social worker what's going on because they feel that I'm gonna immediately take action or move them to a higher level of care. And they feel a lot safer talking to that housekeeper that's in their room, or they're noticing the spoiled milk in the refrigerator. So what ways can we include them in the conversation when we're taking care of the residents? Then I also feel that that'll bring value to those team members so that they feel that their voices are heard and that they bring value to the conversation. And it's not just a job that they have, but a lifestyle and more value in coming to work every day and helping with our retention of staff. We are very fortunate. We get to come to work every day and work in these people's homes, but we need to remember that it is their home, and we get to go home every day. So really educating the staff on what it's like to come into their home when we work and treating it as such. So starting out with just acknowledging them, including them in the conversation, and then hoping to grow it from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, good luck with your voiceover.
How am I getting that into 2 minutes is going to be the trick.
I think you just did. You just did actually. You
Yeah.
just did it into 2 minutes. So,
I'm very passionate about it.
yeah, Candace got a lot of like snarky looks in that 2 minutes too, thinking of how much the pressure she was under. Candace, one of the beauties of the Action Learning Project is that you can take 12 years to accomplish it, which is what it took me. Just speaking as one person. So what did you decide to dive into when you were in our academy, and any type of update you want to share?
Yeah, so I really kind of went the route, obviously being within life enrichment, we do a lot of the heavy programming for the community. But previously, it had been residents and team member programming was completely separate. But as Damien, when you asked him, why do you stay? It's because of the residents. So focusing on that retention aspect, fostering that relationship between team members and residents, having that intentional monthly programming where it's not separate. We're bringing folks together, having fun together, sharing a meal together. We've actually probably had about 6 months of doing so, and it's been wonderful to see. Residents love that they get to play corn toss with a team member. They're playing with their housekeeper on it's really having that relationship in a different role. So you're seeing the team members outside of what their typical job duties are when they're here and coming into their home. You get to hear about their families. You get to really see the team members on a more personal level, and the residents love it because we do become like family to them as we are coming into their home. So we've had about monthly programming that's been all kinds of different things. In the summer, we did cookouts. We even went as far as having our first responders take part in this as well. So then we kind of went even further into the community. But it's been great. We just did some of our master calendar planning for 2025, and we're really pushing that even further in the new year and just saying, okay, what did we learn from this year and how can we make it better next year? So it's been great to see. I'm hopeful that it'll help with our retention efforts of really honing in on those new team members that are coming in, and this is the type of culture that we like to set.
Excellent. Excellent. Damien, I know that you took the whole concept of an Action Learning Project and really looked at how you could roll that out at the Chesapeake. So would you share about yours?
So I stayed with my love of HR, human resources, and did successful onboarding. Because I looked at it. I've been seeing other places. I saw where we were and how can we improve that? We all have high turnover rates. Okay, so how do we fix that? just looking at it from the start and really defining what onboarding is. You know, when I asked a couple of people at the very beginning, they were like, well, it's the first week of orientation. Okay. Or they thought it was what they did beforehand. And then they got to orientation. It was really redefining what onboarding was. You know, looking from that initial offer to why can't we say it's that full year? And what do we do in between? And what as leaders do we do? You know, do we reach out to the candidate before orientation and send them a welcome email? Hey, welcome to the team. We're so excited about seeing you. And then looking at, you know, the job descriptions. I started looking at those and going, are they, and Lightspire's done a great job of really consolidating. Actually, our HR director is in charge of her project is getting all the job descriptions so that a server's a server, you know, a CNA is a CNA, LPN's a LPN.
You mean system-wide, like across
yeah.
all campuses?
Right. So it makes a lot easier. And then, you know, and now we're Lightspire is I think they said, Damien, you're not taking you're being too quick, you're too it's not taking you as long as we wanted you to. So they hired Donna Cutting from Red Carpet Learning and says, you know, we've got to really get this going. No, I'm just kidding. But we actually attended a leadership retreat down in Charleston this past February in Lightspire, a few of us, and saw her and really said, wow, you know, this makes sense. This is exactly what we need to do. So that's where Lightspire is really going towards with an onboarding process. You know, that first day, does that first day have to be codes and compliance and everything like that? Or is it all based on culture? This is who we are, you know, and this is who we're here for. And just build that on first day and then get into the rest. But yeah, that was my action learning project. And the thing I still remember, I actually started looking at that a couple of days ago in preparation. You know, what was it? And I remembered going to the last slide where, and if I can, Melissa, if you would allow me to do a shout out, I'd like to do a shout out to Charlotte's Web, to Laura, to Ashley, to Mary. We actually have our next scheduled Zoom or Teams call in October, just to chat and see where we are and, you know, getting there. But I remembered at the end of that just feeling really like, wow, this is the end. But it really wasn't. It was just the beginning. And you know, that it was a good action learning project, but it's still in progress. Our turnover rates aren't where we are. Our retention rates aren't where we are. So we need to keep going and we need to, you know, listen to others. That's why I love being part of the Workforce Advisory Council with Leading Age is we have a lot of ideas from different places.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being part of that and leading that effort. And I think it's, you know, the power of the association, right, is coming together, learning from other communities. And oh, look, my office just got dark because I stopped moving. Right. We also should shout out today is the day that we're recording this, not the day that it will premiere, is Deanne Aiken's birthday.
Oh,
Do a little shout out to our Deanne. Happy birthday, Deanne.
happy birthday, Deanne.
Yeah, the mother of the Leading Age Virginia, Maryland, and DC Academy. So I'm curious, you know, we talk a lot about the challenges and, you know, workforce, obviously the biggest thing. You all three have ALPs focused on, you know, resident or retention, as well as resident engagement, you know, how that can help support retention. Candace and Donna, you talked about that relationship piece of it. But share with me, when you think about the future of the field, of the Chesapeake, you know, what excites you? What are you looking forward to the most?
Who wants to go?
Oh, I can go first. I think it's for me just seeing that shift that we're going to see when we have the next generation of residents that come in. They're going to embrace technology more. They're going to challenge the status quo more. That really energizes me. We already see that a little bit now with the next generation of the workforce that comes in. Because I know that's in a lot of our discussions of how do we work with these young people, because they see things very differently than we do. But I don't take that as a negative. I take that as a positive. It excites me. Let's learn from them. Same thing goes with residents. I just think it's going to be really exciting to see that next shift come in, and it's going to be totally different than what we're used to now. So it's really, the future is exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree with Candace. You know, the median age of the residents, you know, coming in a lot younger, wanting to do more active things, being more social, leading things themselves, not looking for the communities to lead them by the hand, but, you know, a lot more resident run events and moving through the continuum with that idea as well. We're seeing a lot of that now, even just starting in assisted living and in our healthcare center. And that's exciting for our residents and our staff as well.
Awesome.
And
Damien?
I look forward to, I look forward to growing leaders. You know, we have our leaders within here. We have 27 people going through the leadership development series we have here that look towards, you know, maybe didn't think of themselves as leaders. And maybe didn't think, oh, well, I'm just going to do this and that's all I'm going to do. And being able to have them grow, because LifeSpire, you know, we just had our conference and they're looking from 5 communities to 12, you know, and guess what? They're going to need people for those communities. So why not, you know, grow our leaders within and be able to sponsor and then just seeing, like Donna and Candace was saying, just the changes of the expectations of our residents, you know, the newer ones coming in, or, you know, assisted living wasn't assisted living like now, you know, when we get move-ins, it's not just a normal flip or whatever. It's, I want to do this. I want this. I want this. And yes, I mean, we never say no. It's how do we, and we're just going to grow as a community. And I'm excited about that.
How do you help, you know, help peers, help team members who say they just don't have time? How do you help them reframe the whole notion of professional development, that they do participate in leadership development series or apply to an academy or engage with the association or any of the opportunities that LifeSpire makes possible for team members?
Well, for me, I sit with them and have them define to me what that looks like. You know, what makes you too busy? What is too busy? Why do you think you don't have the time for that? And when we really sit down and dive into it, it might not have to do with work. Being too busy at work might have to, you know, have to do with the challenges that they're having at home. So how can we support them, you know, as a company, as an organization in you know, reaching those goals if that's what they choose to do, finding what their interests are. So it's really just sitting down. Sometimes the chaos of the world or taking care of the kids, it just closes in on them. They're not even realizing the time that they may have. So it's just slowing down. A lot of it is just taking the time to slow down and sit with them and reevaluate and seeing how we can support them to find that time, carve out that time. Maybe they're not even aware that we're able to give them that time to pursue the leadership opportunities that we have here, and making them aware of that.
I agree. It's almost like it could be a version of self-care, just carving out that time. And I would say as well, it's just telling your story of how it's impacted you. I think, you know, like Donna this morning, she shared of her experience, you know, last week with her academy at our morning huddle, and it energized me. I was like, oh man, I missed that about the academy. So it's like just sharing that story. She just morphed her experience into a story and it energized those around her. So I think it's just being sure that we're advocates for it. And then, as Donna said, like making sure that you make time for yourself, because you don't even realize how much you can be missing out on just by putting yourself out there and carving out the time.
I agree. And you know, it's kind of ironic you just asked that, Melissa, because the last series last month was about time management. And it was, you know, team members, leaders going, I just don't have the time. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's really just sitting down and talk honestly. And thank you to Todd for giving me some direction, because I asked him about this series at the conference, and he told me about what they're doing. And it's really just coming up with a plan and just having a discussion. And that's what we did as leaders. We, you know, some people were like, I don't have time. Well, okay. So when I go home, I feel like I'm still on the job. Well, why? I mean, have you empowered your team to make decisions and support them? You know, if they made a decision that wasn't the greatest, we'll talk about it. But if they made a decision, let's celebrate that. And it's really, you know, I'm really excited because the people that we have in our one-on-one class, probably half of them probably looked at themselves and says, I'm not a leader. I actually don't have anyone under me. How can I be a leader? You don't have to have someone under you to be a leader. You know, you just by your presence and how you present yourself, you are a leader. And, you know, and then it's, defining the role from a manager to a leader. You know, we had to do that the first couple months. So, you know, we have a lot of great talent here. And I think we've really improved on how we get our talent here. And I'm just excited about the future. 2025 is going to be a great year. We're going to finish strong with 2024. But it's really looking at our teams and knowing and telling them that you're special and making sure we take time for each individual person rather than, and really putting forth that active listening rather than coming up with that. I already know what I'm going to talk about next, really sitting down, and I try to, I know it threw Donna, actually it threw Donna off last year when we started having our little meetings, and I scheduled it for on the patio, and I was like, oh, she forgot about the meeting. And then she came to me and she just went straight to my office thinking it was
Got
another
lost.
office.
I'm a creature of habit.
Of course. I mean, why wouldn't you be?
But I wanted to do it somewhere else that where, hey, we can sit and we can enjoy and we can talk about things and we can enjoy nature. I mean, that's one of Deanne's thing that really inspired me, because now literally every now and then I'll go on a bench and just be silent. Yep. And just listen and see how things go. So I love everything the Academy taught us, and hopefully with Donna, myself, Candace, and then we have Courtney going through the State Academy going through right now. Yep. That we all can put together what we learned and really improve even more what's going on.
So in our final minute together, I would just ask you, what is something, well, so I'll just give a little context. So one of the thing at our conference in Roanoke, we had a general session speaker, Nick Tassler, and he kept saying, change is hard. Growth is happening. And,
yes.
So now in our office, if I yell out change is hard, the team will yell back, growth is happening. And now we're using it at home with my third grader. Like, she's getting on the bus. I'm like, change is hard. She goes, growth is happening. So it's really become a mantra here at Leading Age Virginia and in the Andrews family household. That tells you what's, a little bit about a glimpse into us. But, what is something that is, that keeps you going? What is something that either, not a motto, but maybe it's a motto or it's a piece of advice that someone has given you? There's a lot coming at us all the time. Nobody's getting less busy. And sometimes just, a nugget of wisdom that you really, it keeps you moving forward, that you can just call on and say, okay, yeah, I got this. Anything like that?
I honestly have been a person that's been a student of YouTube lately. After conference, I actually watched Ted Lasso all the way through. So yes, I'm a student of Ted Lasso.
Love that. We all should be.
I also like to watch Simon Sinek. Like to watch his videos. Yep. But I also went back in school back in the early 90s. I used to watch Keith Harrell, where attitude is everything. Mm-hmm. And just a short snippet for anyone watching, that if you line up A, B, C, D and associate a number with that, if you spell out attitude, it adds up to 100. Yeah. And try it out. Wow. But attitude is everything. That's what I think about. Sometimes I get and I throw these out there. I said this with Chris Ridenour, that, every now and then I need a checkup from the neck up, like Zig Ziglar used to say. And, it's just attitude, having the having the right attitude. You have a bad attitude, that's going to affect things. But that's my thing. Because sometimes I'll get checked by maybe Donna, maybe Candace, but it's like, is everything okay? I was like, oh, you're right. Let me get back into it. You know, and you need those people around you that will give you that check. But yeah, for me, it's attitude is everything.
That
I think mine, you know, you mentioned Simon Sinek, he's one of my favorites, but he has a quote, and I'm probably going to misspeak on it, but it's about leadership isn't about being in charge, but caring for those in your charge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I try to remind myself of that because I feel like before the academy, you know, we just think about the residents, but we don't often think about these are my people, my folks, my team members. And I would dare say like my reason sometimes of my why has a lot more to do with the team members because you form those relationships and you see how your team can get so close. And I've really seen that during my time here in this position. But that's something I try to keep in the back of my mind. Every, people are always watching you. What's going to be your next step? What's going to be your attitude? How are you going to handle that change?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And mine is, you know, I want to be that resource. I'm that resource and that advocate for the residents, you know, whose families can't be here for them. You know, if this was my parent, I treat it as if this was my parent here, being an advocate and a resource for the resident, not only the resident, but for the staff members as well. And that's what keeps me coming back every day. Something I'm so passionate about and will continue to be.
Well, Damien, Donna, Candace, I'm sending my mom to live with you first and foremost. You're welcome. And I'm not, and my mother-in-law, might as well just send them both to you. But huge appreciation for you joining me today and huge respect for just all that the team at the Chesapeake has done, is doing, and will do. I can't wait to see as you have more folks go through the academy. I want to sit in on one of those huddles if I may, since I've got the credentials. I've got the certificate in a box somewhere. My office is being redone. I can prove to you. But you know, this is sitting here having this conversation with you is what fills my gas tank to keep going out and doing what I do, because you all are obviously the reason that Leading Age Virginia exists. So I want to thank each of you for being here and sharing your perspective on Voices for Leadership. So thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.